The end of the semester is drawing near, so we are going to take some days here before the end of the semester comes to review some of these chapters that we've looked at this semester. So this one in specific is looking at this chapter 6 semester review. All right, so we're going to look at some of these questions. I'm going to go through the even or the odd ones here, and then you can do the even ones on your own. Just me here talking through how to do these things, how they work. So, thank you for listening, and here we go. With number 1, use synthetic division to divide. So, you're going to use a lot of synthetic division in this chapter, in this review here. So, the first one we do here, we have x plus 4. We're going to divide that into this x squared plus 8x plus 17. So, the way that we do that is we take that negative 4, because remember we take the 0 of x plus 4. So if we set x plus 4 equal to 0, we can subtract 4, we can subtract 4, so we get x equals negative 4. So my 0 here is negative 4. So that's my 0. Alright, so I take that negative 4 and I put it outside that big L. Do you remember that? And then we take these coefficients. So the coefficient of that first one is 1. Then we have 8. And then we have 17. So we take those coefficients, put them up top. Now we go through here and do the synthetic division. So if we have here, we bring down that 1. Then we go negative 4 times 1, which is negative 4. Then we add straight down, which is positive 4. Multiply straight across. So we get negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. 17 plus negative 16 is positive 1 here. So here, if you remember this, my answer, this is my remainder. This is my constant, and this is my x. Remember if we had like another term, it'd be my x squared, x cubed, and so forth here. Okay, but we don't have any of those, so it just goes through. So my answer here is going to be 1x plus 4 plus 1 over that remainder of x plus 4. Remember, we always put our remainder over what we divide by. So, right there, that is my answer for synthetic division. You will see a problem like that on the final exam, I promise. Alright, next, we have to write a polynomial in standard form given that the zeros are 1, negative 1, and 3. Okay, so we talked a little bit up here is that my zeros, if my 0 is negative 4, then my binomial is x plus 4. So these guys are kind of going back and forth the other way. So we take here, if my 0 is positive 1, my binomial is x minus 1. And then I have x plus 1, because it's the opposite of this guy. And then we have x minus 3. Okay, so those are all my binomials, but it asks me to write them in standard form. So to write it in standard form, I actually have to multiply them out. So here, I'm going to take these two guys and FOIL them together first. So there I get x squared plus 1x minus 1x minus 1. So that guy combines to x squared. These guys cancel out, minus 1, and then I still multiply that by x minus 3. So here in this problem we have to FOIL twice. Now we're going to FOIL this guy again. So we FOIL here, we bring x squared onto there, and this negative 1 onto both those guys. So I'm going to have x cubed plus a negative 3x squared minus 1x and plus 3. So if I FOIL that guy out, I get this, and then once you multiply all these guys together, this guy is my answer right there. So that's just in standard form, that polynomial. You got to find out those binomials and then multiply them together for number 3. Okay, so you guys try that. Number 4, see what you do. Number 5 asks me how many zeros does the following have? So if I look here, my zeros, this guy has a biggest exponent of 3, so it has 3 zeros. Alright, so you always look at the largest exponent. So largest exponent tells you how many zeros that guy has. Alright, perfect. Number 7 going on, looking at the possible rational zeros for this guy. Here, if you remember this in class, we talked about the possible rational zeros are the factors of your constant over the factors of your leading coefficient. So I'll put an LC. And it's actually plus or minus these guys. So it's either plus or the positive of those guys or the minus. So if I look here, I have my constant is 8 and my leading coefficient is 1. So if I look at my factors of 8, I have plus or minus, and my factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. And my factors of my leading coefficient just 1. There's nothing else that goes in there. So my actual rational zeros here are plus or minus 1, 2, 4, and 8. Okay, so this one there's only one guy on the bottom there, so anything over 1 is just itself. So those are my 4 rational zeros. So you guys try that for number 8, see what you can find. Number 9 tells me find the remaining solutions of this guy given that -2 is a solution. Okay, so what we're going to do here first, and if you guys remember this from chapter 6, is that we take this -2 and I put that out front of a long division. So I'm going to divide that -2 in and see what I get left for a polynomial afterwards. So I'm going to take 2, my leading coefficients here, 3, -3, and -2. So 2, -3, and -2. So go through here. If I can perform this long synthetic division, I get 2, I get -4, -1, 2, -1, and +2. So here I get 0 at the end, and I should do that because it told me that -2 is a solution. So that means it should divide in there evenly. So now what I have left is this polynomial 2x squared minus 1x minus 1. Because remember, this is my constant, this is my x, this is my x squared. Okay, so now what I have to do is I have to factor this guy right here. So I have to factor him. So if I go through and factor him, I got to multiply that a times the c. So I get -2 on the top of that diamond, -1 on the bottom. So I get -2, +1 for that. So I get x minus 2 and x plus 1. Don't forget here that you have to divide by that original a value. So you divide by 2 here. So this is going to be x minus 1. And I'm going to get that 2 goes out in front, so I get 2x plus 1. Okay, so that is that guy factored. So now I have my remaining zeros. If I set x minus 1 equal to 0, I get that my x is equal to 1. Okay, but if I set 2x plus 1 equals 0, I subtract my 1. So now I have 2x equals -1, divide by 2, so I get x equals -1/2. So those are my 2 remaining zeros there. Okay, so great. You guys have to try that same process in number 10, see what you can get. Okay. All right, moving on to number 11. This is kind of the toughest one here. Is at number 11, you have to find all of the rational solutions. So it doesn't tell you that -2 is a solution now. You have to find that. And we're going to use what we found in number 7 up here, list the possible rational zeros. We're going to use these guys here to start. So I'm going to look at the factors of my constant. So I'm going to look at the factors, the plus or minus my factors of 7, which are just 1 and 7. All right, over the factors of that 1. So I just have 1. So I can start out with plus or minus 1 and 7. Okay, so what you have to try here is you have to try either positive or -1 or positive or -7 to see if it gives you a 0. And if it does give you a 0, that means that that's one of your solutions. Okay, so here I'm going to try 1. I'm going to put 1 into here. I have my coefficients of 1, -9, +15, and -7. All right, so let's see what we can get here. See if we get a 0 at the end. That's what we need to get. So I'm going to bring down that 1. I get 1, -8. Bring that, -8, and I get +7. 1 times 7. Look at that. I do get that 0 at the end. So that's great. So number 11 here, now I have, this is my constant, this is my x, this is my x squared. So now I'm left with 1x squared minus 8x plus 7. Now I have to factor this guy to find my rest. So I have to factor here. So I know that one of my x is equal to positive 1 because I tried that and I got a 0 at the end. So one of my solutions is 1. Now if I find my other ones, I got to put this guy in. 7, negative 8. Two things that multiply to positive 7 add to negative 8 are negative 7, negative 1. So this guy becomes x minus 7 and x minus 1. So if I set both of those guys equal 0, I get x equals 7 and x equals 1 again. So x equals 1 actually happens twice, which is okay. That's fine. All right, but notice here that my leading coefficient, my highest degree is 3. So I have 1, 2, 3 solutions. All right, so that's quickly just me talking through these chapter 6 guys here. You need to know how to do these for the semester exam, so please take a few minutes here, go through these reviews, see what you can do. Thanks for listening.